Okay, guys. Actually, you know what? I'm going to cut the car off for this one. I'm going to keep it brief, but I just got through listening to. Let me adjust myself. I just got through listening to a piece on the radio, and it was a couple who, when they were dating, had gotten themselves into pregnancy. They went through a termination, and then they got married sometime later and had a child, and happily ever after. But one of the things, I'm going to adjust this a little bit more. One of the things that was striking about their conversation is the woman's admission that while they were going through this procedure the day of, she now remembers because the child that they had after marriage is 17 years old. So this is a long time past, but she's reflecting about how at that moment she was not she recognizes now that she was not concerned with addressing his needs as well, not necessarily about the procedure at all, but as they were going through it, because I believe it was a consensual thing on both their ends. He was there supporting her at the time, but how she didn't address his needs at the time, and his response was he was just trying to make sure hers were met. And it's a touching sentiment on both ends, but it's really important that we focus on what this woman had outlined, because it's a large part of what gets left out of a dynamic when it comes to men at a lot of points in time. The well-being of men. And I'm not saying that well-being of all people does not matter, but let's be honest with ourselves. We live in a society where it is kind of, you can say patriarchy all you want, but there's such a small percentage of men who have that sort of power to change or even benefit from it. So I'm just going to go forward with this by saying that men's mental health, emotional health, psychological health is very important. Most of the time, what we fix ourselves on or have fixed upon us is our physical health and our financial health. And those two things are, while they are part of the structure, it should not be what we are measured at every turn. So I say all that to say, if you've been in any circumstance at all with a man, whether it's a terminated pregnancy, whether it's just something even joyous, are we checking in? And I've spoken to this on another video, men's wellness check. So it's not just for women to have to, check on men. Guys, check on each other. I just told a young man here at work today, he asked me what the secret to longevity was. And I told him, I talked to you about clean living, emotional, again, psychological, spiritual, all of these things, nutritional. What are we putting in our bodies in a sense of what are we eating, consuming, and what are we putting in by way of what we're hearing, what we're seeing? All these things absorb into our body and we digest it in one way or another, and it shapes who we are. When we say you are what you eat, you are what you hear, you are what you see, you are what you talk. All of these things are a portion of what make us whole. So we have to focus on these things. And I told him that men, and more importantly at times black men, aren't allowed to have these emotions. Like, again, what do we say? Be a man, grow up, step up, man up. All of these sort of things, men don't cry, walk softly, carry a big stick. All of these things are measures as to why, we don't have a lot of the things that we have from men in today's society. Because if you do, you're immediately shot down as almost less than a man if you move forward with these emotions or these expressions. And on a smaller note, but not a less important note, as black men as well. So it's not just for black men, this message, but that is a part of it. So again, check in. And this is just another, thought that leaps to mind. But when I heard that woman saying it, it is important. It is important to check in and make sure that the men in our lives are being looked after as well in the same capacity that we would for women. Maybe for different reasons, but it's still equally as important. Guys, what are your thoughts? What is your ace up the sleeve, your advice, your comment, your experience in any of this? Is this an awakening for you? Is this a refresher? Is this something that is old hat to you that you've been doing? How do you do that? How do you reaffirm or give validation to some men in your life, whether it's it doesn't have to be a spouse or a mate, whether it's your father, whether it's a grandfather, a neighbor, your children's coach, a teacher, any of these places. Where are we giving these validations? I spoke to this young man because I need him to understand that it's nonsense that we don't get to have these sort of, these expressions. So what I spoke to him about was, when we talk about, most of the time we talk about having multiple streams of revenue, things coming in. I say we should have multiple streams of expression. That way you have your delayed gratification in place. So that way you have the gym to work the stress off. You have book reading, you have cooking, you have things. So multiple streams, because just like with multiple streams of income, you want to earn from different places. So in case one comes down, money's coming in someplace else. It works the same way going out. If you can't get to the gym, then you still have the cooking to allow you to focus and take your mind off of whatever it is, so you don't let the toxins build up. Bleed out the poison and speak your minds. And he said, I really don't have too many of those expressions. I said, yes, you do. You have my number. I'm going to leave it at that. Hopefully this finds everybody in a place, pursuit, or introduction upon a journey to total health, mind, body, and soul. Peace, love, unity, solidarity.